Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? We are live. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. So, this is my first time going live on this account. Let me share this. All right. We are going to do just a quick live, just talking about some. Let me fix this stupid thing. Just talking about some of the events that have gone on in the week. And we're going to be doing this a couple times a week. So, hopefully we'll see some of you in here. I will definitely share it from my other page too. If you're not following that, go follow me there. That is the American Latino, America's Most Based Latino. Definitely follow me on that. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about. Let me know if the audio is good too, if you can hear me. I will have a better setup. Just this is what it is for right now. All right, so you see in the background we got Smurk. We got Smurk in the background. We're gonna talk about a couple things in the news, a couple things that have happened this week. First thing, Smurk. We're going to talk about Smurk. So right now, the Lil Durk trial is going on. If you don't know who Lil Durk is, I highly suggest you go take a listen to him. Probably the most popular rapper right now besides NBA YoungBoy. If I'm not mistaken, his last tour that he did was close to YoungBoy's numbers. It's like something like 1.5 million per show, which is crazy. That's what NBA was making. So I'm not sure, but he's definitely up there. So if you haven't been following the case, essentially what's happening is Durk was arrested in 2024, I believe, and basically what happened was the feds seized him as he was trying to board a plane to leave the country. America, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was trying to go to Europe. And the feds grabbed him, and he's been in jail ever since, awaiting trial. And this week, the trial has started. And so that's like almost 2 years that Smurk has been in jail. So if you don't know some of these people, it's cool. I'll mention them. Go do a little bit of research. It's really simple. You'll find it on YouTube, no problem, very easily. Traplore Ross. If you don't know who Traplore Ross is, he is a YouTuber that has just been sharing for the past couple years rap news, information, documentaries. He's fantastic. Definitely go follow him and take a look. He's actually at the trial and has been going in and out of the trial and sharing as much information as he possibly can. And so what we've been learning is the case is a murder for hire case, and apparently it is in reference to the attempted killing of rapper Quando Rondo, who is part of NBA YoungBoy's label, I believe. I know he's not part of the crew because he's from Georgia, I believe, and YoungBoy's from, I don't remember where he's from, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But anyway, this happened back, I want to say in 2022, right after King Von died. If you don't know who King Von was a rapper, and crazy story, amazing song, go check it out. And he got shot and killed by another rapper, gang member named Lil Tim, who is Quando Rondo's right-hand man. Okay, so they, Quando Rondo's right-hand man. So the case is essentially saying that Durk hired multiple people to go get back for Quando Rondo for the death of King Von, which was Smurk's right-hand man, best friend, and label mate. He was on OTF. So the feds are basically saying that one of the cooperating witnesses, OTF Jam, who is a killer, basically, who was part of the OTF crew, part of Durk's crew, he actually took the stand yesterday and spilled the beans, pointed the finger at Smurk, and said Smurk actually hired him to kill Quando Rondo. And the feds basically found this all out because back in 2022, I believe it was, somebody had tried to take out Durk. They went to his house, they broke in his house, and a bunch of people tried to kill him. And India and his wife and tried to fight these guys off. And one of the huge mistakes that Durk made was saying, anyone that owns firearms, if you don't own firearms, that's cool, but you should if you live in America. Anyone that owns firearms knows shooting into the air randomly is going to get you arrested. Okay, you can't do that. It's the same thing as if you were to just walk outside and just randomly start shooting. Okay, shooting into the air is stupid, reckless, and whatever goes up has to come down, right? So if you shoot a bullet in the air, it's got to come down somewhere. You don't know where it's going to come down. So it could come down and kill somebody, right? So that's why they consider it reckless behavior. Well, during this home invasion, Smurk said that he, as these attempted hitmen were leaving his house, fleeing, he grabbed the gun that India had and shot up into the air twice. Okay, well, that right there, grabbing a gun and shooting up into the air twice when he is a felon and can't own guns. India can own guns, but he can't own guns. Well, the fact that he said that he grabbed the gun, that's fine. But the fact that he shot in the air twice led to, I forget what you call it in police lingo, but probable cause for them to not only search his home and do whatever they needed to do to help them assess who these potential killers were, but it also allowed them to seize Durk's phone. And when they did that, they kept the phone all the way until now. Now, there's some dispute there. Durk's lawyers have been trying to get the phone tossed out. However, the judge has let the phone in, and it is evidence, and it is coming in. Now, the big hubbub about it is that this was taken not during the commission of a crime. It was taken from a victim, and they basically held on to it for the entire time, for 5 years almost. And once the feds found out that, I believe it's Georgia Bureau of Investigation, found out that they had the phone, they put out a warrant to get the phone. They got the phone, and whatever information they got off of it, they're now using against Durk. And some of the information that they got off of it were some pictures, screenshots, I believe, that were of Durk essentially, in the act of committing this murder for hire. So yesterday, OTF Jam took the stage and took the seat and basically spilled the beans and said that he had committed 3 murders and Durk was the one who paid him and told him to go do them. Now, the first murder he admitted to was like when he was like 19 or something like that, and then he admitted to another one, and then he admitted to the Quando Rondo one, where they missed Quando Rondo and ended up killing Quando Rondo's cousin, Lo Pab, aka Savia Robinson. So when Jam took the stage, before Jam took the stage, one of the big things that they were trying to say was that Vani, OTF Vani, who is just another member of the collective, was Durk's right-hand money man. And they're trying to put all the blame on Vani, that he basically did everything, and that It wasn't Durk. Durk had nothing to do with it. It was all OTF Vani, and he actually had the reason to, do the get back, and that was because he was King Von's boy. They were boys. They were so close that they even shared a bank account. And Von, I guess, was the one who brought OTF Vani into the OTF collective. So basically, they're trying to say that Vani has all of the reason for trying to, get back. So what's crazy is, like I said, Trap Lord Ross is out there every day sharing all of the information. Unfortunately, they're not. I don't know why they're not having cameras in the court. This is like one of the biggest. See, this has never happened before. We've had crazy cases like Aaron Hernandez, where a massive star, sports star, movie star, whatever, music star, goes crazy and commits, an atrocious, heinous crime. Hernandez was one. There's been a couple. Um, there's been a couple, but there hasn't been one of this caliber. There hasn't been an artist that's this well known, that's this massive, that has been accused of a crime this heinous. Murder for hire. It's pretty bad. It's one of the worst crimes that you can commit. However, this particular one is crazy because we're talking about someone who had an excess of 30 million records sold. I think when I looked up these stats last, it was something like 50, close to 50, which is just nuts. The fact that this dude is potentially, allegedly, hiring people to go kill his ops is just nutty. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. So we're on day 4 of the trial, I believe, or day 3. And I'm just waiting for notes to come out. Usually they drop between 12 and 3. So I'm just kind of relaying the notes that have happened over the past couple days. So I see a bunch of people joining the live. Thank you. Thank you. It doesn't say that you're staying, it says you're joining and leaving, but that's okay. So what else is going on? So the case will continue. I'll be sporadically reporting on, and if any big news comes out, but I just wanted to touch base on it because that is one of the biggest things going on right now in this week, and just wanted to cover it. So another thing that's massive that's going on this week is Keffe D Tupac Shakur trial. Now, this is very strange to me. I'm not really sure why this is even happening. I'm pretty sure what basically has happened is over the course of the last 30 years, this purported, quote unquote, alleged Tupac Shakur killer, Keffe D, although he wasn't even the guy who actually pulled the trigger. We'll get to that later, who actually pulled the trigger. But he, over the last 30 years, has gone on documentaries, has gone on podcasts, has gone on a whole bunch of different things saying that he was the one who killed Tupac. Not necessarily that he killed Tupac, but he was there. He was in the car. He was with the people who did it. He knows why it happened, how it happened, the whole 9 yards. So if you haven't seen the documentary, there's a documentary on, I don't know if it was Netflix, but it was 2008 it came out, and it did have Keffe D in it. And he was saying that, he was spilling the beans on everything, that he was there, he was in the car, he was with the people, he knows the people, why it happened, blah, 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 blah. And so basically what I think happened is, because he was continuously saying it over the course of the past 30 years, basically the feds were building a case over the course of 30 years. Actually, I don't know if it's a federal case. I think it might be a state case. I'll clarify on that, and next time I do a live, when I give an update on the case, I will clarify if it's a state. I believe it's state, California, but we'll see. I'll have to make a note of that. Basically, they were gathering all this evidence of him saying that he was involved, and only now are they actually able to bring it because of all the evidence they've collected over time. And at least that's what I can gather. I don't know. I don't know what other reasoning they would have to bring it up 30 years later. Why they wouldn't go after him back in 2008 when they made the proffer, when they made the original documentary. So in 2008, they had an original documentary. There was a I forget what it was for, but it was a six part series that included Keffe D talking about how he was involved in the Tupac murder. And basically they had the documentary guy come up and give testimony about this. But that, I'm pretty sure, is the reasoning of why it's being done. Just basically that he was the guy who did it. He's been saying it, and no one ever brought charges against him until now. So trial's in its fifth day, I believe. And so what we have is basically what happened was, and they played all the videos too, all the footage in court. It was rather interesting. I don't have a Keffe D picture, otherwise I would change it from Smurk. But basically, he is sitting in the court, and they're going over everything, and they're just kind of giving a rundown. They're having all the officers that were there that night come and testify. They're having if you haven't seen it, there's a famous picture that was taken just before Tupac was killed. In the car is Suge Knight and Tupac, and he happened to look over at someone who was next to him when they were driving down Las Vegas Boulevard. And when he looked over, the guy took a picture of him. That guy who took the picture was actually in court, giving testimony on who he was, how it happened, how he got the photo, what happened afterwards. Actually rather interesting. If you don't know, he took the picture and then kept driving. The shooting happened. He kept heading in that direction and then turned off from that direction, and then basically was confronted by the cops amongst this whole kind of chaos that was happening during the night of the shooting. And the cops actually thought that he was involved. And so it's crazy what happened. The cop took his car and drove it back to the scene, while he ended up getting in another car with the cop and going back to the scene because they thought that he was involved. But it turns out he wasn't actually involved. He was actually just next to them and took a picture of them when they drove up to the stoplight. So it's pretty cool. I definitely highly recommend going back and watching the testimony from the cop and from the guy who took the photo. It was just pretty cool just to hear that, because that testimony had never been given before. Nobody had ever heard that before. So it was interesting to hear what, the events that had transpired that night, from the point of, a third party, someone not involved. So that night, it was the night of the Mike Tyson fight. And at the casino where the fight was happening, there was a altercation between Keffe D, his nephew, two other people that they were with, and Tupac Shakur's entourage that was at the casino. There's a video of it. You can see it, and they're all fighting. Tupac's fighting. Cops come in, try to break it up, and everybody leaves. And so basically what happened is, I'm not sure if it was because someone tried to steal a chain or somebody had beef with somebody else, but Keffe D's nephew was the one who was basically attacked. And he was the one who was festering and pissed all night long, and basically was like, yo, I want to, get my get back, and we're going to go get some get back on Tupac. So they basically said that they had planned the entire night after the altercation to find Tupac and commit the murder. And so basically what happened was, when they found him, they were driving on Las Vegas Boulevard, and they slowly pulled up to him. So here's one car, here's the other car. They came up to a red light, and Keffe D's car came up right alongside of it. And Keffe D said, well, he didn't say it, but the officer describing the events that happened said that from the proffer from 2008, so proffer, I guess, is just like this legal document that says, you're not going to go to prison, you're not going to go to prison, basically, if you give us all the details, and here's it's going to outline why you're not going to go. It's going to outline what you told us. It's going to outline everything, basically. 1 second. I had to get a drink. All right, the 2008 proffer had a whole bunch of stuff in it, and they go over it during the court session. They have the guys come in, the actual officers that arrested him and created the proffer. They actually go over and you hear the entire audio of it. But anyway, I'm not sure why they didn't charge him then. Either they didn't have enough evidence, even though he was giving testimony. I'm really not sure. But basically, nobody... See, Keffe D's defense is that nobody corroborated what he said. So he's basically saying that he was lying the entire time, and that nobody... what do you call it? Nobody... basically, he's just saying that he's lying the entire time. And nobody corroborated any of the things that he was saying. That's what the defense has been saying every single time somebody brings up something. He comes back and says, well, did you corroborate that? Did you run it down? Did you follow any of the leads to make sure that he wasn't lying about that? So he's basically saying he's lying. Everyone else is saying, yep, nope, he was in the car. And so anyway, when Keffe D's car pulled up to... When Keffe D's car pulled up to Tupac's car, he handed the gun to the driver. The driver said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm rusty. So he handed the gun to the back seat, to the two guys in the back seat. The guy that was farther away from the Tupac vehicle, I believe, was Keffe D's nephew. And the guy next to him was actually the shooter. And I shot him, I think, 9 times, tagged him a whole bunch of times, and they took off. And then they had the cop who was first on scene come up and testify, and basically he was saying that he was a bicycle patrol officer and got on scene, got off his bike, went up to the car, opened the door, and Tupac kind of fell out and slumped out. He had seen that he was shot multiple times. And, he was kind of wincing in pain and groaning, wasn't really speaking. And Suge Knight was bleeding from the head because he got tagged in the head. And he kept coming around. The officer kept pointing his gun at him because he didn't know what was going on. There was just a shooting. And Suge just kept walking around, screaming on the phone, I guess, and pacing. And so the officer was saying that he turned his attention back to Tupac, and basically Tupac's last words were, "Fuck you," to the cop. And that was it. He went unconscious and never regained consciousness and eventually died. So, sad story, but Suge, I believe they went to the hospital, and the officer said at that point he kind of knew that Tupac was gone. But yeah, so that's where we are in that trial. They're having a couple more. I believe it's still going on right now. When I do another live later on in the week, if they wrap it up, I will report on that and just give some of the highlights of that. They did have a couple gang members from Keffe D's gang or block or whatever come and testify as well. They were subpoenaed. They didn't want to be there, but they were subpoenaed and they did show up, and they were trying to be as elusive as possible, because one of the guys was like, I don't want to throw this man under the bus. I don't want to send this man to jail. So he clearly didn't want to have any involvement whatsoever. So it was rather interesting. And then there was an outburst that Keffe had saying that they had doxed his address. They had doxed his wife's address. People were coming to his house and yada, yada, yada. And the judge was just like, yeah, that's great. I don't give a shit, basically. So, whatever. It was pretty funny. So, yeah, so those are the two big things going on right now, news-wise. Just two big trials. One that we've never seen anything like it before, and then one that's finally, putting a bow on what happened to Tupac all these years later, 30 years later. So, in other news, the crypto markets have been doing pretty good. They have been coming back to life, thankfully. Bitcoin has passed 81K. It's come back down a little bit to 79K, but we're in a good spot and it hasn't crashed back down. It did, pump rather largely. It was like 10% in a day, which usually takes a lot of money for that to happen. And Bitcoin usually doesn't make a 10% move in a day, but it did. And all the alts are following. So that's good. So the market's starting to heat up and starting to come back. So that's really good. And same thing for stocks. Stocks are taking a little bit of a hit. The Strait of Hormuz closure and the Iran war still are, really stifling the market, especially like oil. Diesel is actually nearing all-time high, so I would definitely look for some longs because it looks like diesel's on a potential breakout. Oil, however, has receded. I did have a nice long on oil all the way up to 115, and then it's come back down, I believe, to about 90. So there are a couple articles saying that there is going to be an oil crisis from 26 to 27, and they are anticipating oil prices dropping from 90 to 77 a barrel. Maybe we'll see. I still think as long as this war happens, as long as the Strait of Hormuz is closed, oil is going to fluctuate between 90 and higher, 100, 120, 130, we'll see. It really just depends on a bunch of factors, but really just depends on if the supply can be choked off enough. That'll make the price skyrocket. But again, keep an eye on diesel because diesel's nearing all-time high. And usually when that happens, you get 3 bumps in a certain direction. It tends to break out and go into price discovery. Price discovery, who knows where it could land. It could just keep going and going and going. So be aware of that. Okay, and finally, the last topic for this live is going to be some of the people that have passed recently. So this week we had legendary country music star Dolly Parton pass at 80 years old. It turns out it was cancer, small battle with cancer she had, and her husband passed last year. They were married for 59 years. I forgot his name. Thomas Carl something, Dean or something. I don't remember, but yeah. She passed, and then just yesterday, we had Tim Curry pass. Tim Curry was in Rocky Horror Picture Show, It, Stephen King's It, 1995's Congo. He was also in Legend with Tom Cruise, Jim Henson. He's in a lot of movies. I mean, really a lot of eclectic roles, and just a phenomenal actor, and really, truly sad to see him go. And then also we had Hayden Panettiere die as well because of a drug overdose, I believe, which is just crazy because she's super young, in her 30s. So, crazy week. Bunch of terrible shit happened. But at least it's, there's a silver lining in that, at least with Durk, the Smurk case, justice will be served, hopefully. If he did it, he did it, and we'll have to see what the consequences are. But if he didn't do it and he gets off, certainly going to be one hell of a coming home. That's for sure. Yeah, so I like Smurk, don't get me wrong, but if the man committed a murder for hire, people died. Savia Robinson died, Lil Pab. someone needs to be held accountable, right? Obviously, you would want the shooter to be held accountable, but in this instance, because it's a murder for hire, the person who did the paying, the person who did the I want this person dead, that's the person that needs to be held accountable. And if it was Smurk, you know, sorry, but we'll see. Thank you all so much for joining me on my first live on this account. Like I said, I have another account, The American Latino. Go follow that. I'll be doing a couple lives a week, and hopefully you guys join. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you all so much. I'll be putting clips up too. So in case you missed the live, there'll be a couple clips that go up. You can watch that. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much.